I never expected my baby shower to end in tears. After 3 miscarriages, I was finally 7 months pregnant, allowing myself to hope. When my sister Amanda stood up, glass raised, my heart lifted. Then she said those words. "Hopefully this one survives." Everyone gasped. I held back tears, my hand instinctively covering my belly. Jack, my husband, walked in just then. Hearing the commotion, he pulled Amanda aside. "Hopefully you survive what is coming," he whispered. She ran out screaming. The room fell silent after Amanda fled. My best friend Tara, who had organized the entire baby shower with blue and pink decorations since we wanted the gender to be a surprise, quickly clapped her hands. "All right, everyone, how about we play some games? I have a really fun one where we guess the baby's measurements," she said, desperately trying to salvage what was left of the celebration. But the damage was done. I could feel the pitying glances, the uncomfortable shifting in seats. My mother, who had been arranging gift bags in the corner, rushed over to me. "Hope, sweetie, are you okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. I nodded mechanically, but inside I was crumbling. 3 years of loss, 3 tiny heartbeats that had stopped too soon, all reduced to a cruel joke by my own sister. Jack remained by the door, his jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle twitching. He was protective on a normal day, but now, with his pregnant wife publicly humiliated, he looked ready to tear the world apart. "I think we should continue," I said finally, my voice surprisingly steady. "Everyone has come so far, and there are still gifts to open." The guests reluctantly returned to their seats. I opened presents, oohed and ahed at tiny onesies and hand-knitted blankets, all while feeling like I was performing in some bizarre play where nobody knew their lines. Growing up, Amanda and I had been close despite our 3-year age gap. She was my big sister, the one who taught me to ride a bike, to apply mascara without poking my eye out, to stand up to the girls who teased me in middle school. When our parents divorced, I was 9, and Amanda was 12. That was when things began to change. Mom got custody, and Dad moved 2 states away with his executive assistant. Amanda took it hard, becoming bitter and withdrawn. I somehow managed to remain optimistic, maintaining relationships with both parents. Maybe it was our natural temperaments, or maybe it was because Amanda remembered more of the good times before the divorce. Whatever the reason, a wedge had been driven between us, one that only grew wider with time. My first miscarriage happened at 10 weeks. Jack and I had been married for just 2 years. We were devastated but hopeful. The doctor said it was common, that many women experience early miscarriages and go on to have healthy pregnancies. The second one, at 14 weeks, hit harder. We had started to believe, to plan. I had even bought a tiny pair of yellow booties. The third miscarriage, just 6 months ago, nearly broke me. 16 weeks along, we had heard the heartbeat, seen tiny fingers and toes on the ultrasound. We had started telling people. And then, one morning, the cramping began. Jack found me on the bathroom floor, surrounded by blood, keening like a wounded animal. Through all of it, Amanda had been strangely distant. She sent generic thinking of you cards, made brief appearances at family gatherings, but the warmth between us had cooled to something almost unrecognizable. I attributed it to her own life struggles, her failing marriage to Ryan, her demanding job as a pharmaceutical sales rep, her own childlessness at 36. After the party finally ended and the last guest left, Tara stayed behind to help clean up. As we folded up the decorated tablecloth, she hesitated. "Hope, there is something you should know," she said, not meeting my eyes. "What is it?" I asked, suddenly alert. "I overheard something a few months ago. I was at Westside Cafe, and Amanda was there with some friends. Tara paused. She was telling them that your miscarriages were probably because of your reckless lifestyle." "What?" I nearly dropped the stack of plates I was holding. "What reckless lifestyle? I do not drink. I stopped caffeine. I even quit my stressful job." "I know," Tara said quickly. "It is ridiculous." She mentioned how you used to go running during your first pregnancy, and how you drank that herbal tea during your second one. My legs gave out, and I sank into a chair. This was the twist of the knife I had not expected. My own sister, spreading rumors that I had somehow caused my babies to die. Does everyone think that? Is that what people have been saying behind my back? I asked, my voice breaking. Jack walked in, having just taken out the trash. One look at my face and he was by my side. What happened? He demanded, looking between me and Tara. After Tara repeated what she had told me, Jack looked murderous. That explains her comment today, he said. She was not just being cruel. She was making a public accusation. Later that night, I called my mother. She answered on the third ring, sounding tired. Mom, did you know what Amanda has been saying about my miscarriages? A long pause. Hope, you know your sister has been going through a hard time. That is not an answer, I said, my voice harder than I intended. Another pause. I heard some things, yes. And you never defended me? Never told her to stop spreading lies about your daughter? I did not think it would help to confront her, Mom said weakly. It would just make things worse between you two. Worse than her publicly humiliating me at my own baby shower? Worse than blaming me for losing my babies? My voice rose with each question. Hope, please calm down. Think of the baby. I hung up without saying goodbye, something I had never done to my mother before. Jack found me curled up on our bed, sobbing. I will never let her hurt you again, he promised, holding me close, his hand protectively covering my swollen belly. Never. The morning after the baby shower, my phone rang nonstop. I ignored most calls, but finally answered when my mother called for the 5th time. Hope, we need to talk about this, she said immediately. Amanda is beside herself. Beside herself? I repeated in disbelief. Mom, she humiliated me in front of everyone I care about. She has been telling people I caused my miscarriages. She is just hurting in her own way, Mom replied, her tone pleading. You know she always wanted children too. So that gives her the right to attack me? To try to destroy the happiest day I have had in years? Of course not, but family forgives, Hope. We rise above. Jack, who could hear my side of the conversation, shook his head in disgust. I put the phone on speaker so he could hear. Mom, what Amanda did was unforgivable, I said firmly. Nothing is unforgivable in family, she insisted. Your sister made a mistake. A terrible one, yes, but she is still your sister. Jack finally spoke up. With all due respect, Joan, what Amanda did was calculated and cruel. She has been spreading rumors about Hope for months. This was not a mistake, it was an attack. Jack, I understand you are protective, but you are not helping by encouraging Hope to hold a grudge. I am encouraging my wife to protect herself from someone who has repeatedly hurt her, Jack replied, his voice steady but sharp. Someone the rest of the family seems determined to enable. Mom sighed heavily. Just promise me you will think about talking to Amanda. She really is sorry. After hanging up, I felt a dull ache spreading across my lower back. By afternoon, it had intensified. Jack insisted we call my obstetrician, Dr. Patel. Given your history and current stress, I want to see you immediately, Dr. Patel said. At the clinic, my blood pressure was elevated. After examining me, Dr. Patel looked concerned. Hope, your cervix is showing signs of early effacement. It is not an emergency yet, but this pregnancy is now high risk. You need to minimize stress and physical exertion for the remainder of your term. Fear gripped me. But the baby is okay? For now, yes. But stress can trigger preterm labor, and at 28 weeks, we want to keep this little one inside as long as possible. She wrote out instructions for modified bed rest and warning signs to watch for. On the drive home, my phone rang. It was my father, calling from Texas where he had lived since the divorce. I rarely heard from him outside of birthdays and Christmas. Hey there, kiddo, he said, his familiar drawl instantly taking me back to childhood. Your mom called. Told me what happened at your shower. I braced myself for another lecture about forgiving Amanda. Dad, I really cannot talk about this right now. The doctor just put me on bed rest because of the stress. Actually, he said, surprising me, I called to say I think you are right to be upset. What Amanda did was way out of line. You do? I had not expected support, especially from my father, who typically avoided family conflict at all costs. Sometimes family needs tough love, not excuses. Your mother never could see that with Amanda. He paused. I am sorry I have not been there more, Hope. For what it is worth, I think you are going to be a wonderful mother. Far better than I was a father. That unexpected support brought fresh tears to my eyes, but these were different from the wounded tears of yesterday. After hanging up, I told Jack about the conversation. Your dad is right, Jack said, helping me settle onto the couch with pillows supporting my back. And we are going to get through this, Hope. You, me, and our baby. Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. Sorry you took it the wrong way. I was just nervous for you given your history. I showed Jack, who snorted in disgust. That is not an apology. That is her trying to justify what she did. I know, I said quietly. She has always been like this, twisting things to make herself the victim. That night, I could not sleep, despite my exhaustion. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Amanda's voice. Hopefully this one survives. I found myself obsessively counting kicks, pressing my hand against my belly at the slightest twinge. Around 3 a.m, I got up carefully, trying not to wake Jack. I waddled to the nursery we had finally allowed ourselves to prepare after passing the 24-week mark of viability. The walls were a soft mint green, gender neutral since we wanted to be surprised. A white crib stood in the corner, a mobile of felt woodland animals hanging above it. I sat in the rocking chair my grandmother had given us, moving slowly back and forth, trying to calm my racing thoughts. Jack found me there at dawn, tears streaming down my face. I just got off the phone with Ryan, he said, referring to Amanda's husband. There is something you should know, something that might explain Amanda's behavior. I braced myself. What? Amanda was diagnosed with infertility 3 months ago, primary ovarian insufficiency. They told her she will never have biological children. The news hit me like a physical blow. She never said anything. Ryan says she has not told anyone in the family, not even your mom. She has been in a deep depression, refusing therapy, pushing everyone away. Suddenly, pieces started falling into place, the increased hostility coinciding with my current pregnancy, the bitterness in her voice whenever children were mentioned, the almost desperate way she avoided family gatherings where she might have to explain her childlessness. That does not excuse what she did, I said, but my anger was now mixed with a complicated empathy. No, it does not, Jack agreed, but it might explain it. As the sun rose fully, casting golden light across the nursery, I made a decision. I would not let Amanda's pain destroy my joy, but I would not let my joy blind me to her pain either. This baby, this precious life inside me, deserved to enter a world where healing was possible. The following week passed in a blur of doctor appointments, delivery preparations, and awkward family conversations. I stayed on modified bed rest, working remotely for the few hours my energy allowed. Jack became my fierce protector, screening calls, preparing meals, and attending to my every need with unwavering devotion. Despite Jack's constant care, I found myself dwelling on Amanda's situation. I remembered how she had comforted me after each miscarriage, her support seemingly genuine at the time. Had she been secretly relieved at my losses? The thought made me sick, but I could not dismiss it entirely. One afternoon, Jack came home with a giant box from a baby boutique. "This came for you," he said, setting it down beside the couch where I had made my temporary headquarters, "from your colleagues." Inside was an elaborate baby care package, filled with organic lotions, tiny clothes, soft blankets, and a handmade quilt with a card signed by everyone on my team. The thoughtfulness overwhelmed me. "See this?" Jack said, holding up the quilt. "This is what matters. People who genuinely care about you and our baby." I nodded, but my thoughts strayed to Amanda again. Had she ever received such gestures of support in her infertility journey? Or had she suffered in silence, watching as I received sympathy and care for my losses while her own grief went unacknowledged? Later that evening, my mother called. "Hope, I need to tell you something," she said, her voice unusually hesitant. "I found out about Amanda's diagnosis." "Ryan told you?" "No. I found her medication while helping clean her bathroom. I confronted her, and she broke down. Why did she not tell anyone? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Pride, shame, the same emotions that had kept me from discussing my miscarriages with anyone outside my closest circle. She was planning to, but then you got pregnant again, and she just could not bear to share her news while everyone was celebrating yours. Mom paused. She has been seeing a therapist, but she is not doing well, Hope. The therapist thinks she might be clinically depressed. I closed my eyes, feeling the baby shift inside me. I am sorry she is suffering, Mom. I truly am. But that does not give her the right to try to ruin my joy. I know, sweetie. I just thought you should know the whole story. After hanging up, I sat in silence, absently rubbing my belly. Jack found me like that when he came to check on me. What are you thinking about so intensely? He asked, settling beside me. I am thinking about calling Amanda, I admitted. Jack immediately stiffened. Hope, no. After what she did? The doctor said to avoid stress. I know, but I struggled to articulate my feelings. We have both experienced loss, Jack. Different kinds, but still loss. Maybe if we talked. Absolutely not, Jack said firmly. At least not until after the baby comes. I will not risk your health, or our child's. I nodded reluctantly, but the thought would not leave me. The next morning, while Jack was at work, my phone rang with Ryan's number. Hope? It is Ryan. I would not call if it was not important. Is Amanda okay? I asked immediately, surprising myself with my concern. Physically, yes. Mentally. He trailed off. She will not eat. She barely sleeps. She keeps saying she has destroyed her last chance at having a family in her life. My heart clenched. Despite everything, this was still my sister, the girl who had braided my hair for school pictures, who had stood up to neighborhood bullies on my behalf. What can I do? I asked. Would you consider meeting with her? Just for a few minutes? I think if she could apologize in person, it might help her start healing. I thought of Jack's prohibition, of Dr. Patel's warnings. I cannot promise anything, Ryan. Let me think about it. After hanging up, I went back and forth for hours. Finally, I texted Ryan. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. The coffee shop on Maple Street, just her and me. I did not tell Jack. For the first time in our marriage, I deliberately kept something from him, justifying it as necessary for healing our family. The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop 10 minutes early, choosing a quiet corner table. Amanda walked in at exactly 2, looking thinner than I remembered, dark circles under her eyes. She froze when she saw me, as if suddenly unsure of herself. Hi, I said, not rising. You can sit down. She slid into the chair opposite me, hands fidgeting with her purse strap. Thank you for coming. I did not think you would. Ryan is worried about you, I said simply. Only Ryan? Her voice was small. I sighed. Despite everything, you are still my sister, Amanda. She nodded, tears filling her eyes. Hope, I am so sorry about the baby shower. I do not know what came over me. That is not true. I do know. I was jealous and bitter and hurting. Why did you not tell me about your diagnosis? I asked. Did you think I would not understand loss? That is just it, she replied, wiping at her eyes. You understand it too well. You have lost 3 babies, Hope, and each time, everyone rallied around you. You got flowers and cards and casseroles. When I found out I could never have children, I got a pamphlet on adoption options and a prescription for antidepressants. So you resented me for having support? I resented you for still having hope, she admitted, the irony of her words not lost on either of us. Even after 3 losses, you still got to try again. I never even get a first chance. We sat in silence for a moment, the noise of the coffee shop fading around us. I should have been there for you, I finally said, as you were for me, after each loss. Amanda looked down at her hands. I was not really there for you, though, was I? Not in the ways that mattered. What do you mean? She took a deep breath, then met my gaze directly. The rumors. About your lifestyle causing the miscarriages. I started them. Though I had suspected as much, hearing her confirm it felt like a slap. Why would you do that? Because I needed a reason, she whispered. I needed to believe there was a reason you lost your babies, something you did wrong, some mistake you made. Because if perfectly healthy pregnancies can just end for no reason, then what hope is there for anyone? What fairness is there in the world? I felt my breath catch. And the comment at my shower? Amanda's face contorted with shame. I wanted you to lose this baby too. The words came out in a broken whisper. I thought if you were as childless as me, maybe we could be close again. Maybe you would understand my pain. She covered her face with her hands. I deliberately tried to stress you into miscarrying. What kind of monster does that make me? I sat frozen, my protective hand automatically covering my belly where my child kicked, blissfully unaware of the ugly truth being revealed. I think you should leave, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Hope, please. Now, Amanda, leave now. She gathered her things and fled, leaving me alone at the table, struggling to breathe through the revelation that my own sister had actively wished death upon my unborn child. I made it to my car before the panic attack hit. My chest constricted, black spots dancing before my eyes. I fumbled for my phone, but could not see clearly enough to dial. Somehow, I managed to pull over to the side of the road, where I sat gasping for air, tears streaming down my face. I do not know how long I sat there before a tap on my window startled me. It was a police officer, looking concerned. Ma'am, are you all right? I rolled down the window, still struggling to breathe normally. I am pregnant, having a panic attack. My husband. The officer radioed for medical assistance and helped me focus on my breathing until the ambulance arrived. By then I had managed to text Jack. At Maple Street, not okay. He found me being loaded into the ambulance, his face white with terror. Hope! What happened? The baby? Sir, are you the husband? A paramedic asked. Yes. Jack Spencer. What is wrong? Your wife appears to be having a panic attack, which has caused some concerning vital signs. We are taking her to Memorial Hospital as a precaution. Jack climbed into the ambulance beside me, gripping my hand. I am here, Hope. Just breathe. Everything is going to be okay. But as the sirens wailed and the ambulance raced toward the hospital, we both knew that nothing felt okay at all. The hospital room was sterile and cold, beeping monitors the only soundtrack to the most terrifying night of my life. Doctor. Patel had been called in and now stood at the foot of my bed, her face grave as she reviewed my charts. Hope, your blood pressure is dangerously elevated, and you are showing signs of premature labor, she said. We have given you medication to stop the contractions, but I need to understand what triggered this episode. Jack, who had not left my side since the ambulance ride, looked at me questioningly. I had not yet told him about meeting Amanda. I began, then stopped, tears welling in my eyes. I met with my sister today. You what? Jack's face registered shock, then anger. After everything she did? After I specifically asked you not to? Sir, I need you to stay calm, a nurse warned, noting the spike in my heart rate monitor. I am sorry, I whispered, gripping the sheets. I thought I could help her. Help us both heal. What happened at this meeting? Dr. Patel asked, her tone professional but kind. I swallowed hard. She admitted that she has been trying to cause me enough stress to miscarry. She was jealous of my pregnancy because she recently found out she cannot have children. A shocked silence filled the room. Jack turned away, his shoulders rigid with barely contained fury. Dr. Patel's professional mask slipped for just a moment, revealing disgust before she composed herself. I see, she said simply. Well, that explains the physical reaction. Your body responded to extreme emotional distress. The good news is we caught it in time. The baby's heartbeat is strong, and the contractions have stopped. But Hope, you will need to remain hospitalized for at least 48 hours for observation. And after that, it is complete bed rest until delivery. After Dr. Patel left, Jack and I sat in silence. The betrayal hung between us, the first real rift in our otherwise solid marriage. Why did you not tell me? He finally asked, his voice controlled but hurt evident in every syllable. "I knew you would say no," I admitted. "And I thought I could handle it. I thought it might help." "Help who? Her? The woman who publicly humiliated you and just admitted to trying to kill our baby?" His voice rose despite his efforts to remain calm. "She is still my sister, Jack, and I am your husband. This is our child." He stood up, pacing the small room. "I cannot believe you would risk everything we have fought so hard for." I did not think she would actually admit to wanting me to miscarry. I cried, then winced as a monitor beeped warningly. A nurse poked her head in. "Everything okay in here?" "Fine," Jack said shortly. "I am going to get some coffee." He left without another glance, leaving me alone with my guilt and fear. The next morning my mother arrived, her face lined with worry. "Hope, darling, how are you feeling?" "Like I betrayed my husband and endangered my baby," I said flatly. She sat in the chair Jack had vacated hours ago and had not returned to. "Jack called me last night. He told me what Amanda said." And I am ashamed," she said, surprising me. "Ashamed that I raised a daughter capable of such cruelty. Ashamed that I have been making excuses for her behavior for years." I had never heard my mother speak this way about Amanda before. She had always been Amanda's staunchest defender. "She needs help, Mom. Professional help." "I know. Ryan is looking into residential treatment programs." She hesitated. "But Hope, right now my concern is you and my grandchild. What can I do to help?" "Find Jack," I said, feeling the baby kick as if in agreement. "Tell him I need him. Tell him I am sorry." Mom nodded and left, returning 30 minutes later with Jack, who looked exhausted but no longer angry. "I will give you two some privacy," Mom said, slipping out. Jack sat beside me, taking my hand. "I am sorry I walked out. I am sorry I went behind your back." "No more secrets," he said firmly. "No matter what, we are a team, Hope, the three of us." He placed his hand on my belly. I nodded, relief flooding through me. No more secrets. Just as we sealed our reconciliation with a gentle kiss, my hospital room door burst open. Amanda stood there, wild-eyed and disheveled. "Hope! I need to see Hope!" she cried, trying to push past a security guard who had appeared behind her. "Ma'am, you are not authorized to be on this floor," the guard said, restraining her. "She is my sister. I need to tell her I am sorry." Jack moved with surprising speed, positioning himself between Amanda and my bed. "You need to leave. Now." "Please," Amanda begged, looking past Jack to me. "Hope, please. I did not mean what I said. I would never actually want you to lose your baby." "Ma'am, I am going to have to escort you out," the security guard said firmly, taking her arm. As they led her away, her desperate cries echoed down the hall. "Hope, please. I love you. I am sorry." When silence finally returned, I sank back against my pillows, physically and emotionally drained. "She is spiraling," I murmured. "This is not just grief or jealousy anymore. Something is really wrong with her." Jack nodded grimly. "Ryan called while you were sleeping. After you left the coffee shop, Amanda went home and took a bunch of pills. Not enough to be lethal, but enough to scare him. He had her evaluated, and they are recommending psychiatric hospitalization." The news should have shocked me, but somehow it did not. Amanda had been coming undone for months, perhaps years. The baby shower incident was not the beginning, but the culmination of a long, painful decline. "There is more," Jack added reluctantly. "Ryan found a journal when he was looking for the pill bottle. Amanda has apparently been keeping detailed records of her resentment toward you, dating back years. Plans to sabotage your happiness, your pregnancies. It goes beyond jealousy, Hope. It is obsessive." I closed my eyes, feeling a profound sadness replace the anger and fear. "She needs help." "Yes, she does, but that help cannot come from you. Not now." Jack's voice was gentle but firm. "Our priority has to be bringing our baby safely into this world. Anything else is a distant second." I nodded, understanding the truth of his words, even as my heart ached for the sister I had once known and loved. That night, as Jack slept uncomfortably in the chair beside my bed, I placed both hands on my rounded belly and made a silent promise to my child. You will be born into a complicated family, little one, but you will never doubt that you are loved, protected, and wanted, always. 2 weeks after the hospital incident, I was settled into what had become my new normal, complete bed rest at home. Our bedroom had been transformed into a miniature command center with a small refrigerator, microwave, television, laptop, and enough pillows to build a small fort. Jack had taken to sleeping in the guest room to give me space, though he checked on me constantly. My mother had moved into our spare bedroom, ostensibly to help, but often adding to the tension in the house. Despite her initial words at the hospital, she had slowly reverted to making excuses for Amanda, who was now in a residential psychiatric facility. The doctors say she has severe depression with psychotic features, Mom told me one morning as she brought me breakfast. Apparently she has been suffering for years, but none of us noticed. Or, we noticed but called it something else, I said, pushing scrambled eggs around my plate without eating. Like being dramatic or sensitive or jealous. Mom sighed, perching on the edge of my bed. I keep thinking about all the signs I missed, the extreme reactions to disappointment, the inability to be happy for others, the grudges that never seemed to fade. We all miss them, Mom. Even me. Ryan found more journals, she continued, going back to college. The therapist says Amanda has been fixated on comparing herself to you for over a decade. I set my plate aside, my appetite gone. Why me? I am nothing special. But you are, Hope. You always were. You handled the divorce with such grace, while Amanda fell apart. You built a beautiful marriage, while hers has been rocky from the start. You faced your miscarriages with courage, while she collapsed at the first sign of her own infertility. That does not make me special. Just different. To Amanda, it made you everything she could not be. Mom patted my hand. The doctors say with medication and therapy she might improve significantly. They are hopeful. Later that afternoon, while Mom was out grocery shopping, I found myself alone in the quiet house. Tired of staring at the same 4 walls, I carefully made my way to the nursery, holding the railing as I slowly descended the stairs. The room remained as I had left it weeks ago, peaceful and ready. I settled into the rocking chair, the motion soothing. On the small bookshelf nearby, I spotted the pregnancy journals I had kept during each of my pregnancies, including this one. Impulsively, I reached for them. The first 3 were thin, abruptly ending with tear-stained entries documenting loss. But the current one was robust, filled with weekly updates, ultrasound pictures, and hopeful plans. I read through the early entries, remembering the tentative joy, the careful optimism that had gradually blossomed into real hope as each week passed safely. Reading my own words, I found strength I had forgotten I possessed. After each loss, I had somehow found the courage to try again, to believe in possibility despite heartbreak. It was not that suffering had not touched me, it was that I had refused to let it define me. As I sat reflecting, I heard the front door open, and my mother call out in alarm, "Hope? Hope, where are you? You should not be out of bed." In the nursery, I called back. "I am fine, just needed a change of scenery." Mom appeared in the doorway, grocery bag still in hand. "You scared me," Dr. Patel said, complete bed rest. "I know, but I am going stir crazy up there. Besides, I was careful." She set the bags down with a disapproving frown. "Hope Elizabeth Spencer, you are the most stubborn woman I know, just like your father." The comparison startled me. Mom rarely mentioned similarities between me and Dad. It had always been Amanda who was just like her father, moody, intense, passionate. "Is that a bad thing?" I asked. Mom's expression softened. "No. It is what has gotten you through everything. What will get you through this, too." As she helped me back upstairs, I broached the subject that had been weighing on me. "Mom, when this is all over, when the baby is here safely, I think we need to have a family meeting. About boundaries. About how we treat each other." She stiffened slightly but nodded. "That might be for the best. It means things will have to change. No more excusing bad behavior. No more enabling." "You mean my enabling," she said quietly. "Yes," I admitted. "I do." Rather than becoming defensive as I expected, Mom looked thoughtful. You know, when your father left, I was terrified of losing anyone else, especially you girls. I think I let Amanda get away with too much because I was afraid of pushing her away. And instead, you pushed me away, I said gently, by never standing up for me. Tears filled her eyes. I never meant to. I love you both so much. I squeezed her hand. I know, Mom. But love without boundaries is not really love. It is fear. That evening, Jack came home early, his expression tense. Ryan called me at work. He has been going through more of Amanda's social media accounts. And? I asked, already dreading the answer. She has been posting about your condition online, making it seem like you are in danger because of your own stubbornness, getting sympathy from strangers by painting herself as the concerned sister being shut out by her ungrateful family. That is not even remotely true, Mom exclaimed, overhearing as she entered with a glass of water for me. Jack showed us the posts on his phone. There were dozens, dating back months, each more manipulative than the last. The recent ones included hashtags like "pray for my nephew" and "high-risk pregnancy," as if Amanda had insider knowledge about my condition and the baby's gender, which even we did not know. The posts are getting hundreds of sympathetic comments, Jack said. People offering to start fundraisers, sending her supportive messages. I felt sick. She is using our pain to feed her need for attention. Classic narcissistic behavior, Jack said. Ryan is working with her doctors to get the accounts shut down. That night, after Mom had gone to bed and the house was quiet, Jack sat beside me on our bed for the first time in weeks. I have been thinking, he said, taking my hand. After the baby comes, maybe we should consider moving. Moving? The suggestion caught me off guard. Away from here? He nodded. Not far. Just out of the immediate area. Somewhere with a fresh start, where we can raise our child without all this family drama constantly at our doorstep. I thought about it, the idea both frightening and appealing. What about your job? My job? I can transfer to any of our regional offices. Your company already has you working remotely. He squeezed my hand. I am not saying cut ties completely, just create some distance. Some space for us to be a family without interference. As I considered his words, I realized he was right. We needed boundaries, not just emotional ones, but physical ones too. Let us think about it, I said, after the baby comes. Jack smiled, looking relieved. That is all I ask. He leaned over to kiss me, then froze at the sound of screeching tires outside. We both went still, listening. Then came the sound of a car door slamming and uneven footsteps on our front walk. Stay here, Jack ordered, heading for the bedroom door. But before he reached it, we heard the front door burst open downstairs and Amanda's voice slurred and loud. Hope, where are you? We need to talk. Jack swore under his breath. She is supposed to be in the treatment facility. She sounds drunk, I said, my heart racing. Jack, do not let her up here. He was already moving, phone in hand, presumably calling 911. I heard him thunder down the stairs, then the sound of angry voices. My mother emerged from the guest room, looking confused and frightened. What is happening? She asked. Amanda is here. She sounds intoxicated. Mom's eyes widened. Stay here. I will handle this. Before I could stop her, she rushed downstairs. The voices grew louder, more chaotic. Then came the sound of something breaking, followed by my mother's cry of pain. Ignoring all medical advice, I got out of bed, adrenaline overriding caution. I made it to the top of the stairs just in time to see Amanda shove past Jack, heading for the staircase. Her eyes were wild, her movements uncoordinated. Behind her, my mother sat on the floor clutching her wrist while Jack was torn between helping her and stopping Amanda. Amanda, stop, I called out. You need to leave. She looked up, her face contorting with a mixture of rage and desperation. You turned them all against me, my own family. You are drunk. You need help. I do not need help. I need my family to stop treating me like I am crazy. She started up the stairs, stumbling on the third step. The commotion was too much. I felt a sharp pain lance through my abdomen, then another. Jack, I called out, my voice tight with fear. Something is wrong. His head snapped up, taking in my position, my hand pressed against my belly. In an instant, he was moving, brushing past Amanda to reach me. Hope? What is it? Contractions, I gasped as another pain hit. Strong ones. Behind Jack, Amanda had frozen on the stairs, watching with wide eyes as reality seemed to penetrate her alcohol-fueled haze. Hope? Get away from her! Jack shouted, supporting me as my knees buckled. You have done enough damage. Mom had managed to get to her feet. Amanda, the police are coming. You need to leave. Now. But Amanda seemed paralyzed, watching as Jack helped me back to our bedroom. I did not mean, she began, her voice small and suddenly sober. I just wanted to talk. It is too late for talking, Mom said, her voice harder than I had ever heard it. Look what you have done. As Jack helped me into bed, I heard the distant wail of sirens. Another contraction ripped through me, stronger than the last. Jack, I think this is it, I whispered, fear and acceptance mingling in my voice. The baby is coming. He nodded grimly, already dialing Dr. Patel's emergency number. Hold on, Hope. Just hold on. At only 32 weeks, our baby was coming ready or not, wanted desperately but arriving too soon. As the house descended into chaos around me, I focused on the only thing that mattered now, bringing my child safely into the world despite everything trying to prevent it. The ride to the hospital was a blur of pain and fear. Jack drove while calling Dr. Patel, who promised to meet us in the labor and delivery unit. My contractions were coming regularly now, approximately 7 minutes apart. It is too early, I kept saying, as if repeating it might somehow stop what was happening. 32 weeks is too early. Modern NICUs can do amazing things for babies born at 32 weeks, Jack assured me, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. The survival rate is over 95%. But survival was only part of my worry. I knew the risks of premature birth, lung problems, brain development issues, feeding difficulties. This was not how things were supposed to happen. At the hospital, Dr. Patel was waiting with a team of nurses. They whisked me into an assessment room, hooking me up to monitors while Dr. Patel performed an examination. You are 3 centimeters dilated, she informed me. We are going to try to stop the labor with medication, but I want to be honest with you, we may not be successful. The stress trigger was significant, and your body has decided it is time. A nurse administered a shot to try to halt the contractions, while another started an IV with fluids and additional medication. Dr. Patel ordered steroid injections to help mature the baby's lungs in case delivery became inevitable. What are the chances the medication will work? Jack asked, holding my hand tightly. About 50. 50 at this point, Dr. Patel replied. The next few hours will tell us more. In the meantime, we have alerted the NICU team to be prepared. As the medical team worked around me, my mother arrived, her wrist now bandaged. The police took Amanda, she said quietly to Jack. Ryan is on his way to the station. Jack nodded tersely, his focus entirely on me. What about your wrist? Just a sprain. Nothing compared to what Hope is going through. For the next 2 hours, we watched the monitors anxiously, looking for any sign that the contractions were slowing. Initially, there seemed to be hope the time between contractions lengthened to 10 minutes, then 12, but just as Dr. Patel began to look cautiously optimistic, my water broke in a sudden gush. Well, that decides it, she said calmly. Hope, you are going to have this baby today. The NICU team is standing by, and everything is ready. A strange calm settled over me with the certainty. No more waiting, no more worrying about what might happen. It was happening, and now we would face it. Can Jack stay with me? I asked. Of course. He will be right by your side the whole time. As they prepared to move me to a delivery room, Jack stepped out briefly to update my mother. When he returned, his face was set in hard lines. I just ran into Ryan in the hallway, he said. He wanted me to know that Amanda was released into his custody. He is taking her directly to a different treatment facility, one with better security. She will not be bothering us again. I nodded, relief mixing with the complex emotions I still felt toward my sister. Did he say anything else? Jack hesitated. He wanted to apologize for not seeing how bad things had gotten, for not protecting you from her. Another contraction hit before I could respond, stronger than the previous ones. Dr. Patel checked me again. 6 centimeters. You are progressing quickly now. Let us move to the delivery room. In the delivery room, things moved with surprising speed. My body seemed determined to bring this baby into the world, despite all medical attempts to delay. The contractions intensified, coming harder and closer together. I gripped Jack's hand with each wave of pain, drawing strength from his steady presence. "You are doing great, Hope," he murmured, wiping sweat from my brow. "You are the strongest person I know." Through the haze of pain, I was vaguely aware of more people entering the room, pediatricians and NICU nurses, standing ready to care for our premature baby. As I entered the final stage of labor, Dr. Patel looked up at me with encouraging eyes. "Hope, on the next contraction, I need you to push." The pain was all consuming, but beneath it was a fierce determination. This baby would live. After all we had been through, all the losses and heartache, this child would come into the world and thrive. I pushed with everything I had, drawing on reserves of strength I did not know I possessed. "The head is crowning," Dr. Patel announced. "One more push, Hope, one more." With a final, monumental effort, I pushed, feeling the strange sensation of my child leaving my body. There was a moment of terrifying silence, and then the most beautiful sound I had ever heard, a thin, angry cry. "It is a girl," Dr. Patel announced, quickly passing the tiny, wrinkled infant to the waiting NICU team. 4 pounds, 3 ounces. Jack and I caught only a glimpse of our daughter Rosie Pink despite her prematurity, impossibly small but complete with all fingers and toes before she was whisked to a warming station across the room. "Is she okay?" I gasped, trying to see around the medical professionals now surrounding her. "Her color is good, and she is breathing on her own," one of the pediatricians called back. "Those are excellent signs. We are going to take her to the NICU now for a thorough assessment and monitoring." Jack kissed my forehead, tears streaming unashamedly down his face. "She is here, Hope. She is really here." "Go with her," I urged. "Do not let her be alone." He nodded, following as our daughter was carefully transferred to a transport incubator. Just before leaving the room, he turned back. "What should we name her?" In our discussions of baby names, we had considered family traditions. Amanda's middle name was Lily, and there had been talk of passing it on. But now, that connection felt wrong. "Lily," I said firmly. "Just Lily. Not after anyone, just her own person." Jack smiled, understanding perfectly. "Lily Spencer. Perfect." After they left, Dr. Patel finished taking care of me. As she worked, she spoke in a gentle voice. "You did wonderfully, Hope. And from what I could see, your daughter looks remarkably good for 32 weeks. "When can I see her?" I asked, already missing the child I had barely glimpsed. "As soon as you are stabilized, we will take you to the NICU, probably within an hour or 2. By the time I was wheeled into the NICU, exhausted but determined, my father had arrived. He stood outside the unit, pacing nervously. "Dad," I called, surprised. "How did you get here so fast?" He turned, his weathered face breaking into a smile. "I was already on my way when your mother called about Amanda showing up at your house, caught the first flight out." He bent to hug me awkwardly as I sat in the wheelchair. "How are you, kiddo?" "Tired, worried, happy." I laughed shakily. "All of the above." "And the baby?" "A girl. Lily. 4 pounds, 3 ounces. Jack is with her now." A nurse approached to escort me into the NICU. "Would you like your father to come in too? We allow 2 visitors at a time." I nodded. "Please." Inside the NICU, we were instructed to wash our hands thoroughly before being led to an incubator where Jack stood watch. Inside, our daughter lay tiny but perfect, connected to monitors but, remarkably, breathing without assistance. "The neonatologist says she is doing incredibly well," Jack reported, his eyes never leaving Lily. "Her lungs are more developed than they expected. They think the steroid shots helped." I reached through the porthole in the incubator to touch her delicate hand. Her fingers instantly curled around mine, a grip so small yet so strong. "She is a fighter," my father said gruffly. just like her mother. We stood there, a tableau of 3 generations, united in wonder at this new life who had fought so hard to join us. Outside the NICU window, I caught a glimpse of my mother arriving, her face anxious but hopeful. As she approached the window, I noticed someone standing far behind her, almost hidden in the corridor shadows. Amanda. Her face was pale, her eyes red, rimmed. When she saw me looking, she took a hesitant step forward, then stopped, clearly uncertain of her welcome. "Jack," I said quietly, "Amanda is here." His head snapped up, jaw tightening instantly. "How did she get out of the treatment center already?" "I do not know, but she looks different." Indeed, the woman standing in the hallway bore little resemblance to the wild-eyed, drunken figure who had burst into our home hours earlier. This Amanda looked small, subdued, and genuinely remorseful. "Do you want me to have security remove her?" Jack asked, his voice tight. I considered for a long moment, watching as Amanda stood motionless, making no attempt to come closer. "No," I decided finally. "Let her see Lily through the window. Just that." Jack looked surprised but did not argue. We both turned back to our daughter, focusing on the miracle before us rather than the pain behind us. But I was aware of Amanda moving to the window, of her hand coming up to cover her mouth as she saw her niece for the first time. In that moment, with Lily's tiny fingers wrapped around mine, I found myself hoping that this sight, this new life, this promise of beginnings rather than endings might be the first step in my sister's genuine healing, not for my sake or even hers, but for Lily's. Because despite everything, this child deserved to know all of her family, even the broken parts, especially if those broken parts could find a way to become whole again. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of NICU visits, breast pump sessions, and cautious optimism as Lily grew stronger each day. Jack and I established a routine, alternating time at the hospital, so that one of us was always with her. The nurses taught us how to care for our premature daughter, how to hold her, feed her, and read her subtle cues. "She is gaining weight beautifully," the neonatologist, Dr. Warner, told us during rounds one morning. "Almost 5 pounds now, and her breathing and heart rate have remained stable throughout." "When can we take her home?" I asked, the question I had been asking daily since her birth. "If she continues on this trajectory, I would say within the week. She needs to master feeding without the supplemental tube, and we want to see her maintain her temperature outside the incubator for 24 hours. But she is making remarkable progress." Jack squeezed my hand, his eyes shining with hope. We had been careful not to get ahead of ourselves, knowing the path for preemies could be unpredictable. But Lily had defied expectations from the start, growing stronger and more alert with each passing day. During those weeks, my relationship with my mother underwent its own transformation. The crisis had forced conversations we had avoided for decades. "I enabled Amanda her entire life," Mom admitted one afternoon as we sat in the NICU parent lounge. "I thought I was protecting her, but I was actually preventing her from facing consequences and growing up." "Why?" I asked, the question that had burned inside me for years. She sighed, looking suddenly older. "When your father left, Amanda took it so hard. Her reaction was so extreme compared to yours. I think I became terrified of causing her more pain. And over time, it became a habit to shield her, to make excuses, to smooth things over. At my expense," I said quietly. "Yes," she did not try to deny it. "I took your strength for granted. I assumed you could handle anything because you always did. It was unfair, and I am so sorry, Hope." Her apology, long overdue but seemingly sincere, created space for healing between us. We began rebuilding our relationship on more honest terms, with boundaries I was finally strong enough to enforce and she was finally willing to respect. My father, to my surprise, remained in town, staying at a nearby hotel and visiting Lily daily. His gruff exterior softened around his granddaughter, and he made awkward but genuine attempts to connect with me and Jack. "I was a terrible father," he told me one day as we watched Lily sleep. "I ran away when things got hard. I do not want to be that kind of grandfather." "What kind do you want to be?" I asked, curious rather than accusatory. "The kind who shows up. The kind who sticks around even when it is difficult. He cleared his throat. "If you will let me." I nodded, not ready to fully forgive the decades of absence, but willing to give him the chance to prove himself now. Amanda remained in residential treatment, but Ryan visited occasionally, bringing updates. The doctors have diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder, in addition to depression, he told us. With the right medication and therapy, they believe she can learn to manage it. But it is going to be a long road. "Has she said anything about us?" "About Lily?" Jack asked, his tone carefully neutral. Ryan nodded. "She asks about Lily every time we speak. She keeps the photo I took through the NICU window by her bed." He hesitated. "She knows she has destroyed your trust. She is not asking for forgiveness, just the chance to someday make amends." Jack and I discussed it privately that night. "I do not think I can ever fully trust her again," he admitted. "Not around you, not around Lily." "I understand that," I said. "But I also do not want Lily growing up in the middle of a family feud. There has to be some middle ground." "Supervised visits? With clear boundaries and consequences?" "Maybe. Eventually. When she is proven she is committed to treatment and stability." The day finally came when Dr. Warner declared Lily ready to go home. At 5 pounds, 6 ounces, she was still tiny, but thriving, with a full head of dark hair and bright, alert eyes. The NICU nurses threw a small graduation party, complete with a tiny cap and gown they had fashioned from felt. "We are going to miss this little fighter," the charge nurse said, helping me secure Lily in her car seat for the first time, "but we are so happy she is going home where she belongs." Jack had spent the previous week frantically baby, proofing the house and setting up the nursery for immediate use, rather than the gradual transition we had planned. My mother had deep cleaned every surface, and even my father had contributed, assembling furniture and installing the infant car seat base with meticulous attention to safety guidelines. When we pulled into our driveway with Lily, I was surprised to see Tara waiting on the porch, holding a welcome home banner. "Hope you do not mind," she said as we approached. I wanted to give my goddaughter a proper welcome. Inside, she had prepared a small celebration with a homemade meal, flowers, and a basket of practical gifts for new parents. Ready, too, heat meals, gift cards for takeout, and a coupon book for 1 free night of baby duty. "This is perfect," I told her, fighting tears of gratitude. Small and quiet, just what we need. Those first weeks at home established our new normal. Lily proved to be a surprisingly calm baby, waking predictably for feeds but otherwise content to observe the world from her bassinet or the safety of our arms. Jack took paternity leave, and we teamed the exhausting but exhilarating work of caring for our daughter. 6 weeks after Lily's birth, Amanda sent a letter from the treatment facility. Unlike her previous attempt at an apology, this one showed genuine insight and remorse. "I do not expect your forgiveness," she wrote. "What I did was unforgivable. But I want you to know that I am committed to getting better, not just for myself, but so that I never hurt you or anyone else that way again. The doctors here are helping me understand the distorted thinking that led to my behavior. I see now how my jealousy and resentment poisoned what should have been unconditional love for my sister. I hope someday, when you feel safe, you might allow me to meet my niece properly and to attempt to make amends. But I will respect whatever boundaries you set, for as long as you set them." The letter came with a small stuffed lamb for Lily, but no presumptuous visit, no demands, no guilt trips. It was perhaps the first truly respectful interaction I could remember having with my sister in years. After much discussion, Jack and I decided to invite Amanda for a brief, supervised visit once she completed her initial 90-day treatment program. The visit would take place in a neutral location, with both Jack and my father present. When the day came, I was a bundle of nerves, checking and rechecking Lily's diaper bag even though we would only be at the cafe for an hour. Jack drove, his face set in determined lines. "Remember," he said as we parked, "we leave at the first sign of trouble. No second chances today." I nodded, understanding his protectiveness and sharing it. Amanda was already waiting when we arrived, sitting with Ryan at an outdoor table. She looked different, physically thinner, with her natural brown hair growing out from the platinum blonde she had maintained for years, but also in her demeanor, which was subdued and watchful rather than demanding attention. She stood as we approached, but did not rush forward or make any sudden movements. "Thank you for coming," she said simply. I nodded, adjusting Lily in my arms, but not offering to let Amanda hold her. We sat, an awkward family tableau, with Ryan and Jack flanking Amanda and me like sentries. "She is beautiful," Amanda said, her eyes fixed on Lily's face. "She looks like you did as a baby." "Thank you," I replied, surprised by the genuine compliment without any hint of jealousy. "I have been working with my therapist on what to say today," Amanda continued. She suggested I keep it simple and honest. She took a deep breath. "I am profoundly sorry for the pain I caused you, Hope. And Jack. My actions were inexcusable, and I understand completely why you might never trust me again. I just want you to know that I am committed to my treatment. I am taking my medication, attending all my therapy sessions, and learning healthier ways to cope with my emotions." Her words seemed rehearsed but sincere, lacking the manipulative undertones that had characterized her previous apologies. "I appreciate that," I said carefully. "It cannot have been easy to recognize and face these issues." "It is the hardest thing I have ever done," she admitted. "Harder than accepting my infertility, because this required accepting that the problem was not the world, or circumstances, or you. It was me, my thinking, my choices." We talked for another 40 minutes, the conversation gradually becoming less strained. Amanda asked appropriate questions about Lily but did not press to hold her. As we prepared to leave, I made a spontaneous decision. "Would you like to hold her? Just for a minute?" Amanda's eyes filled with tears. "Are you sure?" I nodded, and Jack, though tense, did not object. I carefully transferred Lily to Amanda's arms, showing her how to support the baby's head. "Hello, Lily," Amanda whispered. "I am your Aunt Amanda. I am going to work very hard to be worthy of knowing you." The sincerity in her voice touched something in me. Not forgiveness, not yet, but perhaps the beginning of a path toward it. In the year that followed, we established a new family dynamic with clear boundaries and expectations. Amanda continued her treatment, moving from residential care to an intensive outpatient program. Our visits remained supervised but gradually increased in frequency and duration. She never once complained about the restrictions or pushed for more than we were comfortable giving. For Lily's first birthday, we held a small gathering in our backyard. Amanda, now 1 year sober and stable on her medication, was among the guests. She brought a handmade quilt, each square representing a milestone from Lily's first year. "I asked Ryan to take pictures each time I visited," she explained, "and I made this in my therapy craft group." It was a thoughtful gift, one that acknowledged both her limited role in Lily's life so far and her hope to be part of her future. As the party wound down, Amanda approached me where I stood watching Lily toddle unsteadily toward Jack. "Can we talk for a minute?" she asked. We moved to a quiet corner of the yard, sitting on the garden bench. "I wanted to tell you something," she began. "My therapist suggested I make formal amends to the people I have hurt, but only if it would not cause more harm." "Okay," I said cautiously. "You do not have to say anything or accept this," she continued. "But I want you to know that I understand now what sisterhood should have been between us. It should have been unconditional love, support, celebrating each other's joys, and helping carry each other's burdens. Instead, I turned it into a competition, a zero-sum game where I thought your happiness somehow diminished mine." She looked directly at me, her eyes clear and present in a way they had not been for years. I see now how wrong that was. Real love multiplies. It does not divide. Your joy should have increased mine, not threatened it. I robbed us both of the relationship we could have had. And I am so, so sorry. Her words, simple but profound, penetrated years of hurt and defensive walls. "Thank you," I said softly. "That means a lot to me. I do not expect us to ever be as close as we might have been," she added. "But I hope we can build something new, something honest and healthy, with proper boundaries. For Lily's sake, but also for our own." That night, after all the guests had gone and Lily was asleep in her crib, Jack and I sat on the porch swing, his arm around my shoulders. "What are you thinking?" he asked. About family? I replied. How it can wound us so deeply because we love so deeply. How the people who know us best can hurt us worst, but maybe they can also help us heal. Do you trust her? He asked. The question that had hovered between us for months? Not completely, I admitted, but I trust that she is trying, that she wants to be better, and I think that has to count for something. He nodded, kissing the top of my head. You always did see the potential in people. It is one of the things I love most about you. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the fireflies emerge in the gathering dusk. I have some news, I said finally, taking his hand and placing it on my stomach. Lily is going to be a big sister. His eyes widened. Are you sure? 10 weeks, I confirmed. Dr. Patel says everything looks perfect. This time, there was no fear shadowing our joy, no dread of history repeating itself. We had weathered the storm and emerged stronger, our family bonds tested but ultimately reinforced. As I looked toward the future, a new baby, a healing family, a sister finding her way back from the edge, I realized that the journey had taught me the most valuable lesson of all. True strength lies not in never breaking, but in how we put ourselves back together afterward, piece by piece, with the help of those who truly love us. And that lesson, hard, won through tears and triumph, was one I would carry forward and pass on to my children, the gift of resilience, of boundaries, and of forgiveness that comes not from forgetting, but from growing beyond the pain into something new and beautiful. Have you ever had to set boundaries with a loved one? How did you balance protecting yourself while leaving room for healing? I would love to hear your stories and perspectives in the comments. Please like and subscribe if this story resonated with you, and share it with anyone who might be struggling with family relationships. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you strength and peace on your own journey of healing.